Uganda, and you're watching UBC TV. We come to you live from the Nile Avenue. My name is Julie F. Nataba with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Julie. Hope you're fine.
I am well, thank you.
And good morning, Ugandans. How are you? Good morning, our visitors. You know the Pearl of Africa always has visitors coming in to enjoy. And now with the president hinting on giving them longer visa stay, then of course it is going to be very interesting for many of you. And I know one of the things when these tourists come and stay longer here, you're going to see more cross-breeding.
Okay.
You know, on Sunday I was at one of the places, the beach, one of the good beaches, and I noticed a lot of increased couples of a white man and a Ugandan girl. So many.
What if it were not a Ugandan girl anyway?
Many of them.
Could have been any other African country girl
with my,
and a white
with
man.
my journalistic instincts, I poke noses in things that I'm not concerned.
And
so I would even go closer. You know how the way the kids are playing, or why your man again, hey, sorry, hey. So I noticed these are Ugandan girls. And actually when I got to know her, I knew her before. So with these prolonged visa stays, we are likely to have more of this, because if a white man comes in Uganda for 3 years, if they have just been coming for 3 months and they fall in love with a Ugandan girl, what will happen? But away from that, let's go to the news.
Indeed, let's go to the news, and of course you're giving us what's up with the local scene, right?
Before, I must say something about the speakership race.
Okay, please.
I'm very delighted and happy to say that it is now a done deal. It is done. You know, there has been so much.
Yeah.
Right from AAA being automatically declared by SEC as for the next years, and Tayebwa. Then we came to the challenges she faced. The investigations, we don't know how far they are going, but not one time we shall know. Then Jacob both coming in, and yesterday, I must say, NRM, of course, SEC and the Parliamentary Caucus, now here chips in Jacob Oboth as a new speaker. He's starting a new journey. Now
on the screen we can see the first speaker of Uganda's parliament. If we could go back, the first speaker was Sir John Bowles Griffin, the first parliament of Uganda. And looking into the second speaker of Uganda's parliament, the second parliament was Narendra M. Patel. And the third speaker being Professor Edward Rugmayo. That is 1979. I didn't see up to which year, but then fourth speaker was the Honorable Francis K. Butagira, 1985 to 1986. And the fifth speaker of the fifth parliament was Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, 1986 to 1996. And the Honorable late James Wakpa Kabulo was the sixth speaker of Uganda's sixth parliament, and that was from 1996 to 1998. And looking at the seventh speaker of the sixth parliament, still Francis Ayume, 1998 to 2001. And thereon comes the Honorable Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, who is the eighth speaker of parliament, seventh and eighth parliament, 2001 to 2011. And the Honorable Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala, ninth speaker of parliament, ninth and 10th parliament, 2011 to 2021. And there came the Honorable, now the late Jacob Olanya, who was the speaker of the 11th parliament, 2021 into 2022. And thereon came the Right Honorable Anita Among, AAA, speaker of the 11th parliament. And as of yesterday, the Honorable Jacob, or both Maxon Jacob, became the 12th speaker of the 12th parliament. How far we have come, and the history goes on and on and on as it continues to be written here in Uganda. Now, Robert, let's have a look at what we have on the local scene this morning.
Okay. Now we begin with the speakership race, where members of the 12th Parliament attended the first sitting of the House, which called for the election of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker. 519 members participated in the exercise to vote for the Speaker, of which 3 votes were spoiled. NRM party candidate Jacob Maxson Oboth was declared winner, having garnered 441 votes, followed by Paul Mwiru with 60. DP candidate Norbert Mao, who recently spent months talking about his track record, but the voters did not care after the outgoing Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs collected only 15 votes. Chief Justice Flavian Nzei declared Jacob Oboth as the new speaker, which provoked a jubilation dance without a clear rhythm. President Museveni administered the oath of allegiance to the speaker-elect, handed over instruments of power including the Parliament Mess, Uganda flag, coat of arms, and the Constitution and rules of procedure of Parliament. Jacob Oboth attributed the victory to faithful and strategic patience. Oboth comes at a time when the immediate former Speaker, Anita Among, is counting losses from the ongoing investigations on corruption, illicit enrichment, among others. The move has left the image of Parliament with dirty linen in regards to accountability. Speaker Oboth later presided over the elections of the Deputy Speaker, which process did not differ much from that of the speakership race. The opposition wing still fronted 2 candidates, including Sarah Guti of UPC and Nyakato Asinansi, the woman member of Parliament, Masindi District. These shared 59 votes, with Sarah getting 14 and Nyakato 45. Thomas Tayewa of the NRM bounced back as the Deputy Speaker, having gathered 457 votes. President Museveni handed him the instruments of power after taking oath of allegiance. Tayewa thanked the members of Parliament for offering him a second chance to serve and pledged to improve legislative agenda focusing on needs of the people. The members of Parliament welcomed the new leadership. However, issues of accountability have been stressed as an area of improvement. The MPs decried past challenges in handling finances meant for oversight role by Parliament committees. They asked the new leadership to prevail and prioritize initiatives. President Museveni has vowed to relieve non-performing political appointments of their duties after laxity at the expense of poverty eradication. Museveni, who challenged leaders to front wealth creation initiatives, wants all Ugandans to join the money economy. The president was addressing members of Parliament at Kololo shortly after the new Speaker and Deputy Speaker were elected. The day leaders taken the oath said wealth creation drives serious poverty away from the country, and said Uganda will see light at the end of the tunnel. This is a message President Museveni carried on members of Parliament as new leadership of the House was elected. Museveni is concerned that leaders, including ministers, are doing less than expected to guide Ugandans on wealth creation. He threatened to sack inactive leaders who he said are denying Ugandans the shortcut way or out of poverty. Museveni sounded the election of new Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Parliament, in whom fellow leaders expressed confidence. They want everything done under professional procedures. That way, the President's quest for Uganda of a wealth creator will be achieved. He is how far the Parliament, he believes that the Parliament can go so far in aiding elimination and eradication of poverty. moving on to the profile of the Speaker. Now, Uganda's 12th Parliament has got new leadership. A lawyer and West Budama South MP Jacob both Speaker and Ruhindi North MP Thomas Tayebwa counting as the Deputy Speaker after Maxon Jacob Oboth being the Speaker. Jacob Maxon Oboth, known as Oboth, brings a legal and procedural background to the role. Born on the 13th of April 1971 in Tororo, he worked odd jobs to stay in school before studying law at Makerere University, earning a Master's of Law in Election and Cyber Law from the University of Minnesota. He is an IP and public procurement expert, former state attorney in Mbale and deputy attorney general for Tenge Adola Culture Institution. He was first elected MP in 2011 as an independent. He defeated a sitting minister and became the first to win a second term in Budama South since 1996. He chaired the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee and was on the Business Committee before. On the 15th of May 2026, CDF, Muhoozi Kainerugaba and PLU endorsed him, and on the 23rd of May, the NRM SEC approved him as Speaker candidate and duly elected as Speaker of the 12th Parliament on the 25th of May. Thomas Tayebwa was born on the 10th of November 1980. He was the Deputy Speaker in the 11th Parliament and current MP for Ruhindi North since 2016. He served as government chief whip from 2021 to 2022, and MPs elected him as Deputy Speaker in 2022 after he succeeded Anita Among, known for the steady debate management and party discipline. He's championed youth and agricultural policies and has served on the Makerere University Council. Tayebwa holds a bachelor's in social sciences and an LLB from Makerere University. Before Parliament, he built a profile in business and investment, directing a lot of investment to Uganda, and also as the Gateway Associate and SMS Empire Limited. Well, those are some of the profiles of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker.
Very profound for each one of them, and lots of stories about each one of them in the dailies. And in a bit, we'll be giving you updates from the dailies. But before we get there, we also have updates from the global scene. And allow me get straight to that. The U.S. military says it has launched new strikes on southern Iran, targeting Iranian missile sites and boats attempting to place mines. U.S. Central Command said in a statement the strikes were taken in self-defense and were designed to protect our troops from threats posed by Iranian forces. Central Command spokesperson Captain Tim Hawkins said the U.S. military continues to defend our forces while using restraint during the ongoing ceasefire. The strikes come as Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Bakai said some progress had been made in talks with the U.S., but a deal to end the conflict is not imminent. Captain Hawkins said the strikes targeted an area near Bandar Abbas, a southern port city and home of an Iranian naval base that sits on the Strait of Hormuz, according to the New York Times. Iranian state media had earlier reported that local officials in Bandar Abbas were investigating after explosions were heard. Iran is yet to respond to the latest U.S. strikes. It is unclear what impacts they will have on any potential peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran. Now moving on, a school assistant will go on trial in Paris on Tuesday, accused of sexual mistreatment of young children in his care. It is the latest case in a year-long scandal that has shaken the school system in the French capital, where some 15,000 such assistants, known as animateurs, are employed as non-teaching staff. Currently, inquiries are underway at nearly 100 Paris crèches, kindergartens and junior schools where animateurs have been accused of inappropriate, aggressive or sexualized behavior. Trials in 3 other cases are to take place over the summer, and a verdict is due in a 4th, which was held earlier this month. More are likely to follow. Last week, police detained 16 people after a swoop at 3 schools in the 7th arrondissement or district. 3 people were subsequently charged with sexually inappropriate behavior to children. Tuesday's case centers on the Alphonse Bourdin Junior School in the 11th district, where the animateur is accused of sexualized touching with 5 children. One man told the BBC that in April 2025, he had already spotted unusual signs in his 4-year-old daughter when another parent reported that their child had been molested. Oh dear. Anyways, moving on to Africa. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is extremely serious and difficult to manage, the head of the World Health Organization said on Monday, warning that the epidemic is currently spreading faster than response operations. Quote unquote, we are urgently scaling up operations, but for the moment, the outbreak is progressing faster than we are, WHO Director General Tedros said. He said 101 confirmed cases and 10 confirmed deaths have been recorded so far in Congo, but warned the real scale of the outbreak is significantly larger. There are now more than 900 suspected cases and 220 suspected deaths, he said. Earlier, health authorities warned that the outbreak is continuing to spread in parts of Africa, with neighboring countries also affected. 10 countries, including Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Angola, Burundi, the Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Zambia face the risk of Ebola outbreak, according to the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The WHO has also warned that while the risk of global spread remains low, the situation is being closely monitored due to the number of cases, infections among healthcare workers, and outbreaks in urban areas. And that brings us to the end of what we have on the foreign scene. Let's take a quick dive into what the dailies have this morning. Robert.
Well, we have the speakership race dominate all the dailies in Uganda today. Now, Museveni to sack ministers who do not promote wealth creation. And both Tayebwa unveil plans. Now, we have 50 families attacked, flee to church. That is following a land wrangle. And moving on, Mayamba draws hope for teens. The new RA tragedy, how elephant accident killed 3 and injured 4. This happened on Sunday night. Very unfortunate, where we lost Robert Rumanyika, very popular. He's a person, I don't know if you did host him, but at least I hosted him about 3 times in my career. He loved tax education. We pray for the family, most of the mother. I think some time back she lost 4 children in an accident.
6 actually.
6.
Sorry, 4?
4.
This was the 5th?
This was the 5th.
Because she has given birth to 6 of them.
Yes, so losing...
She's left with 1.
Yeah, losing at once, you lose 3, then another one has also gone in an accident. We pray for the Lord to strengthen that lady.
True.
It's a very trying moment. Now, moving to the Daily Monitor. In things, that is the headline there. In things, indeed, when you're a speaker and deputy speaker, we don't know what this budget will be this time for the speakership, but you're in things. Olimuchintu already, President Museveni Center with Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Jacob Maxson Oboth, alias Oboth, left, and Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa Now we have rising Ebola cases. How worried should we be? 4 cases now, Julie. And it's no longer saying that these are imported. 2 health workers, they say, tested positive of Ebola. So this is a domestic.
Brings us to 7.
7 cases now. Now we still have in the Daily Monitor of both Tayebwa in things. Now the lizard, Julie's friend, comes out and says, enjoy while it lasts.
Savage.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we don't have former speakers who have served and they're enjoying their life. We've just seen the likes of Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. The list is endless of speakers who have served their term and are enjoying life thereafter.
Interesting. Anyways, let's have a quick look at what the rest of East Africa has. And of course, we're there in looking at Tanzania with the Citizen. And the headline on there is Tanzania, now Uganda's top import source on gold surge. That's the headline in there. And other stories to look into inside Tanzania's emerging 2-tier public school system and new malaria parasite mapping boosts 2030 elimination drive. And court sets June 2nd hearing in Lisu application bid. All of that and more in the Citizen. And the Daily Nation, why Uhuru has renewed war on Ruto. I told you, Kenyatta asks voters not to ignore his counsel again. And how finance bill taxes will hit you. All of that in the Daily Nation for you. That is representing Kenya. Now, a major shout out to Arionga Daniel Edward, who's watching. And this is a message he says, he writes rather. He says, watching from Malaba, congratulations to our own Honorable Oboth from Tororo. As someone whom I have seen and worked with in the political space for some time, the 12th Parliament is headed for the good part. With his wide experience in legislation, as the people of Bukedi region, we are happy and wish him the best in his new journey of political office. Hope the people of Uganda and Bukedi region will benefit from him together. I wonder what that statement means. And then you say that, and let him lead that parliament as per the words he spoke during his time of swearing yesterday at Kololo. On that, he will get our trust ongoing. Thanks. This is Arionga Edward, Daniel Edward. Thank you, Arionga, for being on the show. And if you're wondering what words the new Speaker of Parliament spoke, well, he said that the Speaker's chair is not a throne. It is the seat of a servant. And he pledged that this will be a corruption-free Parliament. And these are the promises that we, as all Ugandans, look forward to. In the meantime, let's have a short break. We'll be right back in just a bit for yet another conversation. But to be part of the whole experience of the show, 0709-602-592. That's a WhatsApp number to which you can send a message, and we're able to interact on anything and everything regarding the show. Good morning. Good morning, Uganda. It's a Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2026. And these were the words of the new Speaker of the 12th Parliament. The Speaker's chair is not a throne. It is a servant's seat. And he also pledged a corruption-free Parliament. These were the words of Jackson Oboth, Jacob Maxson Oboth, who is the new Speaker of Parliament of the 12th Parliament, deputized by Thomas Tayebwa as of yesterday. And into the next 5 years, welcome. It is Good Morning Uganda, and you're watching UBC TV. We come to you live from the Nile Avenue. My name is Julie F. Nantaba with Robert Chiravo Nyonyi Ntono. Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Julie. Hope you're fine.
I am well, thank you.
And good morning, Ugandans. How are you? Good morning, our visitors. You know the Pearl of Africa always has visitors coming in to enjoy. And now with the president hinting on giving them longer visa stay, then of course it is going to be very interesting for many of you. And I know one of the things when these tourists come and stay longer here, you're going to see more cross-breeding.
Okay.
You know, on Sunday I was at one of the places, the beach, one of the good beaches, and I noticed a lot of increased couples of a white man and a Ugandan girl. So many.
What if it were not a Ugandan girl anyway?
Many of them.
Could have been any other African country girl
with my,
and a white
with
man.
my journalistic instincts, I poke noses in things that I'm not concerned. So I would even go closer. You know how the way the kids are playing, or why your man agenda gwamas, hey, sorry, hey. So I noticed these are Ugandan girls. And actually when I got to know her, I knew her before. So with these prolonged visa stays, we are likely to have more of this, because if a white man comes in Uganda for 3 years, if they have just been coming for 3 months and they fall in love with a Ugandan girl, what will happen? But away from that, let's go to the news.
Indeed, let's go to the news, and of course, you're giving us what's up with the local scene, right?
Before, I must say something about the speakership race.
Okay, please.
I'm very delighted and happy to say that it is now a done deal. It is done. You know, there has been so much.
Yeah.
Right from AAA being automatically declared by SEC as for the next years and Tayebwa, then we came to the challenges she faced. The investigations, we don't know how far they are going, but not one time we shall know. Then Jacob both coming in, and yesterday, I must say, NRM, of course, SEC and the Parliamentary Caucus, now here chips in Jacob Oboth as a new speaker. He's starting a new journey. Now
on the screen we can see the first speaker of Uganda's parliament. If we could go back, the first speaker was Sir John Bowles Griffin, the first parliament of Uganda. And looking into the second speaker of Uganda's parliament, the second parliament was Narendra M. Patel. And the third speaker being Professor Edward Rugmayo. That is 1979. I didn't see up to which year, but then fourth speaker was the Honorable Francis K. Butagira, 1985 to 1986. And the fifth speaker of the fifth parliament was Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, 1986 to 1996. And the Honorable late James Wakpa Kabulo was the sixth speaker of Uganda's sixth parliament, and that was from 1996 to 1998. And looking at the seventh speaker of the sixth parliament, still Francis Ayume, 1998 to 2001. And thereon comes the Honorable Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, who is the eighth speaker of parliament, seventh and eighth parliament, 2001 to 2011. And the Honorable Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala, ninth speaker of parliament, ninth and 10th parliament, 2011 to 2021. And there came the Honorable, now the late Jacob Olanya, who was the speaker of the 11th parliament, 2021 into 2022. And thereon came the Right Honorable Anita Among, AAA, speaker of the 11th parliament. And as of yesterday, the Honorable Jacob, or both Maxon Jacob, became the 12th speaker of the 12th parliament. How far we have come, and the history goes on and on and on as it continues to be written here in Uganda. Now, Robert, let's have a look at what we have on the local scene this morning.
Okay. Now we begin with the speakership race, where members of the 12th parliament attended the first sitting of the House, which called for the election of the speaker and deputy speaker. 519 members participated in the exercise to vote for the speaker, of which 3 votes were spoiled. NRM party candidate Jacob Maxon Oboth was declared winner, having garnered 441 votes, followed by Paul Mwiru with 60. DP candidate Norbert Mao, who recently spent months talking about his track record, but the voters did not care after the outgoing Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs collected only 15 votes. Chief Justice Flavian Nzei declared Jacob Oboth as the new speaker, which provoked a jubilee.
The shortage of skills among youth, the slow pace of value addition, and the gap between production in the villages and the factories in industrial parks. It was the kind of diagnosis a technocrat offers when trying to get a country unstuck. The president's reply was striking in its simplicity. I know what Uganda needs. At first, to others, it might have sounded almost dismissive. But when placed in the context of 40 years of state rebuilding, economic reform, and political stability, it revealed something deeper. A belief that Uganda's path to transformation has been consistent, deliberate, and informed by lived experience rather than theory. His confidence is not based on guesswork. It's based on the journey already traveled. He always stresses that any serious revolutionary discussion about the economy of Uganda, or indeed much of Africa, should include the following questions. 1. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1900, at the dawn of colonialism? 2. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1962, at the sunset of colonialism? 3. How and what was the magnitude of the collapse of the Ugandan economy between 1971 and 1986? Idi Amin, Obote II, Okello. 4. What, therefore, was the economy of Uganda like in 1986? 5. What is the Ugandan economy like today, and why?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV this morning. Well, you have to know, just in case you don't, and your house is just so soundproofed, or you're in an area that is extremely soundproofed, it's raining outside and it's rather heavy, so be sure to step out or be ready to step out whilst protected from the rains. And in case you do not really need to drive, don't drive. You can wait. You better be safe than sorry. Now, speaking of safety, we are looking at the safety of people or persons within protected areas this morning, following the story of the sad incident that took place on Sunday night, where a crash occurred at Murchison Falls National Park that claimed the lives of 2 URS staff and 4 others injured. Now, we are having this conversation with the head of communications at the Uganda Wildlife Authority, and that is Bashir Anji, over the phone. But yours is to be part of the conversation, 0709 60259 by text, WhatsApp, and also be on our Twitter handles at UBCTV Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nataba with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono to discuss this pertinent issue, especially in line with tourism and safety at the same time. Good morning, Bashir.
Good morning, Julie.
It's a pleasure having you on board this morning.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, let's dig straight into it. When we talk about safety of persons within protected areas, what exactly does protected areas mean? Explain it to our viewer for purposes of context.
Yeah, protected areas, these are areas that have been designated by law or by legal instrument for protection. In this case, we are talking about wildlife protected areas. These include national parks, wildlife reserves, we have community wildlife management areas, we have sanctuaries. All these are designated as protected areas and as such placed under the supervision of Uganda Wildlife Authority. So basically those are the areas I'm talking about. Of late, of course, there are new areas that will be coming on board. I'm sure you heard of Bugoma Central Forest Reserve being handed over to UWA. You know, Echuya Forest is also coming in as a national park, and Bukareva is coming in as a wildlife reserve, and others will be coming as government deems fit and handed over to UWA for protection and management. Critical to note is that these areas are declared as such on the basis of their ecological importance.
Now, Bashir, rightly having explained protected areas, now this brings in to ask, how should the public behave in these protected areas? Because in some of them, much as they are protected, we can't avoid coexistence of mankind and the wild.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, protected areas are meant for, in our case actually, these are, they are wildlife protected areas. And inside the wildlife protected area, there are things that you don't do. For example, you don't allow human settlement. You don't allow people who want to come and cultivate inside the protected areas. You don't allow things like grazing. You don't allow illegal entry to enter a protected area. You must be authorized, and you must use what we call a designated entry point, which is really known. We have all our gates there. Now, there are things that we cannot avoid. For example, movement of persons. Some of the protected areas that we have public roads. For example, you look at Queen Elizabeth National Park, it has a public road that crosses through the park. If you look at Murchison Falls National Park, there is a road, much as that road, of course, UWA has control over that road, but also it has 2 roads. There's also another road that goes to Pakwach from Karuma. So one section of this road is the park, and another section is outside the park. Now, the people who are transiting through these protected areas, because we know they must, and we also must balance conservation and development, because we need both. We need to conserve, but also we need to do development. For development to happen, there has to be free movement of goods and services. And that's also one way of achieving socio-economic transformation, but also the tenfold growth strategy of government. Now, the people who are transiting through these protected areas are supposed to be mindful of the following. One, animals are not human beings. Even if they are seeing you, they don't care. They will see you coming, but an animal will jump out of nowhere and enter a road. That's one. Two, an animal can be irritated and come and cause danger to people or injure them, or in the worst case even kill them. All that can happen. So what do we do if we are inside protected areas? For people who are transiting, we put signage in the roads. Speed limit. For example, in Maxon Falls, we have since increased the speed limit from 40 to 60. Because we realize that at 40 really, in a protected area, is not a good one. And of course we have visitors who are moving through the park. They have tighter itineraries, they need to be a little bit faster. But also made an assessment and observed that if someone is driving at 60 kilometers per hour, they are able to control speed in the event, which is highly likely, by the way, inside the protected area, in the event of an animal coming unexpectedly. But also, the whole thing is about us. Even if the signages are there, some of us disregard them, and that's the problem. So caution on the side of the road user is non-negotiable. Knowing that I'm driving inside the protected area, or I'm driving near a protected area. Okay, like I said, for example, the road from Pakwach to Karuma, one section of the road is inside the park. Another section, actually, the road is just on the boundary where the recent accident happened. Actually, it was outside the park on the boundary. So being aware, and you say, well, anytime an animal can jump and come out and enter a road suddenly, will I be able to brake suddenly? Will I be able to control the vehicle? And now this goes down to the judge, rather back to the judgment of the person in control of the vehicle. So that is very critical. And largely, that is what is being advising people who are transiting through the parks. But also, it's not a good idea. Even a public road like the one that crosses through Queen, the one I've just talked about alongside National Falls, it's not a good idea to drive inside or near a protected area at night. Actually, we have so many animals that move at night. During the day, they are resting, and at night, they come out to move around. Now, once these animals come, for them, they know they are in their territory. So sometimes you are driving, it's dark, and suddenly an animal jumps out and it enters the road, either it is crossing, and then you knock it. Let me give you an example. The elephant that was knocked the other day, 2 days ago, along the Karuma Road. It was dark, it was around 8, and of course, you know the color of the elephant, you can't see it from a distance. It is highly likely that the driver noticed the elephant when they were really, really close, and maybe he couldn't control it. And we found ourselves in that kind of situation, which is very unfortunate. So taking caution on the side of the person who is using a vehicle inside the protected area is important, but also asking yourself, if, for example, I move the next day, do I lose much? Instead of moving inside the protected area in the night, in the dark, when most animals are out roaming, looking for food, because animals tend to really hide during the day and then come out in the night to look for what to eat. So it takes the initiative on the person who is driving the vehicle. Now, for other people who are coming inside the parks, these protected areas like tourists, UWA is always there to give them security. Work closely with other forces like the UPDF, so we ensure that they are safe, because there could be animals that probably could injure them or kill them, because animals are animals, these animals are wild. We ensure that the tourists are safe, or the visitors inside the park are safe. However, this protection is not extended to people who are transiting through the parks. And that's why if you look at a park like National Falls, where we have a road that transits through the park, right in the middle of the park, we do not allow vehicles to move through after 6 p.m. because we know it could be not a good idea, but also it could harm or bring the lives of the people in the vehicle into danger, and we don't want that to happen, you know. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much indeed. I really wanted to know, but something you've highlighted, I wanted to know if it's legal for the public to actually move at night through the national parks. But you've highlighted it right there. And one would wonder now, as the saying goes, I'll use the example of trains or railroads. Anytime an accident occurs on the railway, the narrative is that you have caused an accident to the train. In other words, you have knocked the train and not vice versa. And in this case, is it that these people who are in that vehicle are the ones who attacked the elephant? Is the narrative like that? And in case it is there any repercussion that now will be held at the table, at the level of both organizations, UWA and URA?
I don't want to say that they attacked the elephant, because I strongly believe that they didn't want this to happen. We appreciate the fact that the incident happened at night. They didn't expect the elephant to be crossing the road at that time. However, you know that there are signages along that road about speed limits and about areas where animals are known to be crossing. There are signages. But I think sometimes we, the road users, we disregard them, we cross over them, and we go around our business as we wish. So in this case, I cannot tell, but also you may look at the impact on the vehicle. Probably it could point to the speed at which the vehicle was moving. Although none of us can tell whether this way of speeding or not, none of us is in a position to do so. But I want to think that probably the speed at which the vehicle was moving, they could not suddenly control it, especially if, in case the elephant just suddenly entered the road.
Kindly allow me just read a comment or two from the viewer as we continue on with the show. And if you're just joining us, we are looking at safety of persons within protected areas, having this conversation over the phone with Bashir Hanji, who is the head of communications at the Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now, Mgaga Saurembo says, Zembuza, wildlife tekwata ensolo ez'obulabe nezizza mu game park. Abasirikale b'ebisolo muyamba abantu. I think I'll leave that to you to speak more into it, as it is these animals were already in their territory, which was a game park. But also one final one. Good morning, Julie and Robert. This is Isaac. Mr. Bashir Hanji, when I kill a violent wild animal while trying to save someone's life, which is in danger, and I am accountable, am I accountable for that also? In other words, when someone kills a wild animal that is threatening someone's life, are they, someone who's in danger, are they accountable for that? Over to you, Bashir.
Thank you very much. Yes, you see, you're not supposed to kill what you call a protected wildlife species. You're not supposed to kill it. And once you see it, you report it to us. However, we perfectly understand that there are cases where people might be defending themselves. For example, you have an elephant attack in your home, or a lion attack in your home. Maybe it is in your goat pen, and suddenly you realize it is a danger, and you are defending yourself. That's understandable. By the way, what most people don't know, we at times painfully take these animals out of action to save human life. People may not be aware, but sometimes you find that an animal is in the communities, and maybe you are unable to quickly tranquilize it, and maybe it is becoming late, and you realize that leaving it alive is going to endanger the communities around, and you choose to painfully put it out of action. We've done this because we value human life more. Ensolo tuzijeyo, ensolo zinza zijeyo wanso nga tovuga mu paaka kiba kizibu nnyo gamba nti tukwate ensolo emmotoka esooka eyitewo kiba kizibu nnyo naawe kiraba kizibu. So ovuga mu paaka bwe beera mwegendereza. abalinga banyete sawa yonna ensolo yinza okubuukira ejja n'engira mu kkubo ate nosanga nga gwe afunye obuzibu n'olwekyo kizibu nnyo ogamba nti tuzikwate abantu basooke bayitewo ekyo tekijja tusobola mu butuufu.
Bashir, now also let's look at some of the measures that you're putting in place to restrain these animals in protected areas from attacking communities.
In terms of the measures that we are putting in place to save communities from problem animals, I call them problem animals. One is that we have what we call community conservation rangers. Now, these rangers' roles to ensure that if there is anything, any alarm from the communities, they quickly go and help the communities. But also we have a problem animal capture unit at every conservation area. And in case there is any animal that crosses to communities, they make an alarm, we go and we capture these animals. Also working with communities, we have established community scouts, and these are the people whom we have trained with skills to be able to scare animals away. In most cases, when the scouts think it's out of control or it's beyond their means, they inform us and also send our teams. And also what we are doing now, we are doing electric fencing. Electric fencing, in addition, of course, to ensuring that people's crops are not destroyed by animals, they also deter, they deter animals from crossing from the park to communities. And wherever we have put this electric fence, I can tell you that the people are happy. People are able to cultivate their crops, and human-wildlife conflicts have reduced tremendously. So those are some of the measures we have put in place, including what we call animal deterrent trenches. We dig trenches. Instead of the animal crossing to community, it would rather get caught up in the trench and we remove it rather than going to communities to disturb people. So of course we are using beehives. We are giving beehives to communities, and these beehives are put along the park boundaries. Now, the beauty with the beehives is that once they are colonized by bees and they produce honey, the communities harvest the honey and they get the money. But for us, our bigger interest is that the bees, they prevent animals, especially elephants, from crossing because they sting the ears of the elephants, but also the buzzing sound of the bees is such a disturbance to the elephants that they don't want to be in such an area. So that one, and of course, continuously engaging communities, ensuring that they inform us when they see animals within their localities, and we go and we ensure that the animals are taken back to the park.
All right, as we begin to close this conversation, is there a hotline, a very active hotline or rapid response system available for any incident that might take place, like what happened, that's available from the Uganda Wildlife Authority?
If you are entering any park at the gate, you have phone contacts there that you can call. Any park at the gate, there are contacts that one can call and you get help. And by the way, that is even better than a centralized hotline, which we want to introduce as well, because if you have a call center and you are calling a call center, now the call center has to call Matchon, but if you have a Matchon number, it's very easy for you to get help rather than calling a centralized call center, which we are going to establish around July.
Right. Does this even apply for those who are just passing through and using the route for whatever destination?
Whoever is passing through the park, if you have any issues, we are at their disposal to help.
Right. Let's close this off with a couple of comments that are coming through. And this one is from Edson Muhanji, who's in Entebbe, who says, "Good morning, Uganda. I think people should have self-consciousness while in those protected areas. And in case they are new in the area, there should be enough safety warnings, notifications, and signage around. Thus, self-awareness and safety first." And one final one. "Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Robert. Phillips from Karamoja fence the protected areas while with an electric fence. What happened? The president ordered it. This is Phillips in Karamoja, and it's something that Bashir Hanje has also hinted on in this conversation. What are your parting shots?
Thank you very much. First of all, we would like to urge all Ugandans that when you are inside the protected area, you are inside also your territory, because we are managing them on their behalf. Let's be careful. Observe the signages on the road. I think many of us, we disregard this. We get taken up by the urgency. Maybe you are rushing to a destination, and we want you to reach safely. Now, for you to reach safely, if you are transiting through a protected area, kindly observe the speed limit. I want to urge you not to exceed 60 kilometers per hour, but it is in your own interest that you even do around 40. You are safer, so that you reach safely where you're going, rather than people getting announcements. These protected areas are there for us. They play a very important ecological role that we all need, and as such, we need to protect them. We need to ensure that we are safe when we are inside there. We should not look at animals as our enemies, but also we should do our role. Take caution, be careful, be safe, reach safe.
All right, thank you very much for your time this morning and educating us on a thing or two regarding the safety of persons within protected areas. The conversation ends here. We do have Tourism Express Business, the agenda, so be sure to stay tuned. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Ministers, specifically our outgoing ministers, Honorable Tom Butime and Honorable Martin Mugara, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our own ambassadors and the ambassadors accredited to Uganda, tourism stakeholders and industry partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you all and a very good afternoon. Your Excellency, allow me, on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, its agencies, the private sector, and the entire tourism fraternity, to warmly welcome you to this 10th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. Please welcome the President. Your Excellency, it's the first time for you to be at this expo, and we are excited. Permit me also to extend our heartfelt congratulations to you upon your recent re-election and inauguration. Your renewed mandate, Your Excellency, is a stamp of approval and confidence by the people of Uganda in your stewardship, your vision, and your leadership of this country. Over the years, Your Excellency, your leadership has laid a firm foundation for the growth and transformation of the Uganda tourism industry. The peace and stability that Uganda enjoys today are the great assets upon which tourism thrives. Through your unwavering commitment to security, Uganda has become one of the safest and most stable destinations in the region. The pacification of previously insecure areas, the protection of our borders, and the continued investment in national security have enabled tourism to flourish across all the regions of this country. We also applaud your government, Your Excellency, for the commitment to health and safety. Uganda has demonstrated resilience and capability in responding to health challenges, including HIV/AIDS, COVID-19, and other global public health threats like Ebola. This confidence in Uganda's system strengthens our image as a reliable and safe destination for visitors and investors alike. Your Excellency, your focus on infrastructure development has equally transformed the tourism landscape of our country. The roads, the bridges, the airports, urban infrastructure, and digital connectivity are key imperatives for tourism growth, and Uganda has made tremendous progress under your leadership and will continue to do more. Today, tourism destinations across the country are more accessible than ever before. Investments in strategic roads, bridges, city infrastructure, and air transport are opening up new tourism circuits and reducing travel time for our visitors. We particularly appreciate your support towards the expansion of air connectivity through Uganda Airlines, which continues to strengthen Uganda's direct access to regional and international markets. The opening of new direct routes is not only facilitating travel, but also positioning Uganda as a strategic hub for tourism, trade, and investment. We are equally grateful for your leadership in advancing visa-free arrangements and travel facilitation initiatives with several African countries, the digitization of visa application processes and improvements in immigration systems are greatly enhancing the visitor experience and supporting intra-African travel. Your Excellency, I'm pleased to report that Uganda's tourism sector has registered remarkable recovery and growth following the global pandemic slowdown. The chairperson of the Tourism Board mentioned the statistics. I may not go into that, but tourism has recovered strongly and has now surpassed the pre-pandemic performance in several indicators. The sector is firmly on the right trajectory towards contributing meaningfully to Uganda's socio-economic transformation. Tourism continues to create jobs for our people, especially our young people, to empower communities, to generate foreign exchange, stimulate investment, conserve the environment, and support multiple sectors of the economy through its multiplier effect. Indeed, tourism remains one of the clearest demonstrations that conservation and economic development can work hand in hand. Your Excellency, the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo brings together exhibitors, buyers, investors, media, tourism professionals from across the world. The CEO elaborated on this, the number of exhibitors we have, the number of buyers, the number of hosted buyers. I know you were not able to visit the exhibition, Your Excellency, but we had requested that the people behind the screens show you some images of what is happening at the expo. And I hope that has been done. We warmly welcome our visitors who have traveled from far and wide to experience what Uganda has to offer. We look at each one of them not merely as visitors, but as ambassadors of Destination Uganda. We believe that after experiencing the Pearl of Africa, They will return home and inspire many others to come and discover our beauty, culture, wildlife, hospitality, and adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, we also recognize the importance of regional and domestic tourism. The East African region remains one of Uganda's tourism source markets, and we appreciate the spirit of cooperation and integration among our neighboring countries. Your Excellency, you have seen the delegation from Kenya, led by the PS of the Ministry of Tourism. We have delegations from Tanzania, and those are Rwanda. Those are our biggest source markets. We commend the collaborative arrangements between Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, aimed at boosting cross-border tourism traffic, developing multi-destination experiences, and strengthening regional marketing. These partnerships are critical because tourism today thrives not in isolation, but through cooperation, connectivity, and shared prosperity. Your Excellency, we further appreciate government's effort towards hosting international and continental events, such as the Non-Aligned Movement Summit and the G77, and now the preparations for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournament. These events are unlocking enormous opportunities in conferences, exhibitions, sports tourism, hospitality, investment promotion, and destination visibility. They are showcasing Uganda to global audiences and strengthening our competitiveness as a meeting and events destination. As a tourism program, Your Excellency, we pledge to do even more. We commit ourselves to unlocking the full tourism potential of this country by strengthening coordination with all our program stakeholders, facilitating tourism development, incentivizing investment, improving standards, and supporting the development of internationally competitive attractions and experiences. We remain committed to building a tourism industry that is sustainable, inclusive, innovative, and globally competitive. Your Excellency, we draw confidence from your continued leadership and guidance as we position Uganda to become Africa's most preferred tourism destination. Before I conclude, Your Excellency, allow me to recognize leaders whose dedication and stewardship has shaped the growth of the sector and brought us this success. Today's occasion, Your Excellency, comes at a unique transitional moment following the dissolution of Cabinet after the inauguration of Your Excellency. However, there are individuals whose contribution to the tourism sector and to the growth of Poate deserves special recognition and acknowledgement. Allow me, Your Excellency, to ask Honorable Tom Butime and Honorable Martin Mugara to stand up, and we give them a standing ovation.
What is different from Uganda and other destinations in the world? You mentioned a few in Europe, smaller destinations in Uganda, less endowed destinations than Uganda. Biodiversity, you can't compare to Uganda's. But what makes them different that they can attract hundreds of millions of tourists a year? I believe France achieved 100 million this year. Spain not far behind with about 90 million plus. And yet the whole of Africa, Your Excellency, continues to bring 80 million thereabouts annually. An entire continent versus one destination in Europe. That is the challenge, Your Excellency, we heard, and that is the challenge we are going to address, starting with the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Your Excellency, where we have a host of international countries represented by hosted buyers coming to interrogate, to immerse, to learn what Uganda has to offer. Your Excellency, we have here today representatives from the furthest locations on the globe. Australia is here. Portugal is here. Brazil is here. Your Excellency, Argentina is here. What about Japan is here? All these countries interested to know what makes Uganda different. And why should travelers choose Uganda as their next destination? So, Your Excellency, our strategy is well in swing. Our commitment to you and to the government is that we have heard you. Together with the private sector, we are going to collaborate. We are going to innovate. And if nothing else, through sheer passion, we are going to deliver this country to middle-income status through tourism.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Welcome to business. Now we begin with gold exports in Uganda. Now gold exports have hit a record highs in the recent years, with Uganda earning over $6 billion every year from the mineral trade. But like many other fast-growing sectors, the industry has faced mounting concerns over rampant gold scams that continue to taint the country's image internationally. In an exclusive interview, our reporter talked to Bernard Fenin, the director of Eurogold, on the state of Uganda's gold trade, persistent fraud allegations, and possible solutions to restore confidence in this sector.
Uganda is increasingly positioning itself as a major player in Africa's gold trade, with vast mineral deposits spread across different parts of the country. Unlike in the past, when most of Uganda's gold was exported in raw form, government is now pushing for value addition through refining before export.
Donating our money to the outsiders. Yes. So this is what we need to resolve. How can Africa get out of poverty with such squandering all resources? You are getting less money.
Gold has now officially overtaken coffee as Uganda's leading export commodity and top source of foreign exchange earnings. Gold export receipts are estimated at between $6 billion and $7.4 billion, underlining the sector's growing importance to the economy. However, despite the booming figures, the sector continues to face credibility challenges arising from widespread allegations of gold scams targeting foreign investors. According to Bernard Fenny, Executive Director, Eurogold Refinery, many fraudulent operations are often wrongly associated with legitimate licensed dealers, yet he argues that criminal networks operating outside the formal system are largely to blame.
If you go to police now, I'm on camera, you ask, from 100 people, how many of these complainants who are investors bought gold in cash? They will never reach 10%. The 90% will say, I paid for transport, I paid for logistics, I paid for insurance, I paid this, and even if you ask them, so how many kilograms do you buy out of 10 kilograms in cash? It will be none.
Fenny says restoring Uganda's image will require stricter enforcement, tighter regulation of dealers and brokers, enhanced investor verification mechanisms, and stronger collaboration between government agencies and legitimate players in the industry.
Meaning there has to be a clear directive to the foreigners out there or investors that if you're coming to Uganda, you want to buy gold, this is where you go.
Right.
Gold is bought here or there or there. They must know. 2, they must also have clear conditions under which they should come to operate in Uganda if they're coming in for trade. We have the Ministry for Trade, we have Investors Board, not so. Anyone found trading in gold with on tourist visa should not be listened to. In fact, must be persecuted.
Uganda remains one of the most resource-endowed countries in the region and is steadily emerging as one of Africa's leading gold exporters. However, sector players say safeguarding credibility and investor trust will be critical for the industry's long-term sustainability. That was the Executive Director, Eurogold, Bernard Fenny, explaining to us the developments and challenges within the gold sector in Uganda. And to be quite honest, it's a bit messy. But the government has since taken corrective and regulatory steps like purity rules, digital traceability, and many more to fill industry gaps and also deal with informal sector realities. But as you've heard from the gentleman, a lot more can still be done to protect sector players locally and internationally. And with that growth comes a shared responsibility to protect systems. Maureen Babidie for UBC.
Well, thank you, Maureen Babidie. Now we move to Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Master Plan Project, together with its partners, convened a suppliers conference aimed at strengthening collaboration with suppliers, contractors and consultants involved in project implementation. Officials noted that the gaps in procurement procedures, delayed bid submissions, environmental compliancy and workplace safety continue to affect the service delivery. The engagement focused on capacity building, knowledge sharing and improving coordination among all stakeholders working on government projects. Let's take a look at this.
Organizers urged suppliers and contractors to improve planning and avoid last-minute bid submissions to reduce procurement challenges.
Today, we have had disengagement because, one, we want to transfer knowledge. I said it, you already know. But at times, people wait and do things at the last minute. They see the deadline for the bids the submissions elapse. That very week is when the contractors and suppliers are running up and down the deadline before it expires. And in the process, you miss it out. Because under the program, there is no reservation scheme. Much as the law has provided at least 30% to local contractors and so on. We have proved your capacity. And some of you are not doing the work as expected, not because you don't have the capacity, but because you put money first.
Officials emphasized the need for compliance with environmental social safeguards, health and safety standards, and proper project management during implementation.
We're looking at the PPDA Act, referred to also as Chapter 205, of the laws of Uganda. Of course, it governs all public procurement and disposal issues in government of Uganda. Specifically, if you look at Section 1, Section 2, 62, subsection 8, all refer to joint ventures. We shall see the applicability when we're looking at the provisions when we bring them later on in the slide.
The conference aimed to improve transparency, efficiency and stronger collaboration between the Greater Kampala Master Plan project partners, suppliers, contractors and consultants nationwide.
Basically, this supplier conference is to build capacity and work together and partner with our suppliers, contractors and consultants, because one of the core values is partnership and working together, because we know as government, if we are to implement our programs, we need to work with our suppliers, with our consultants, with our contractors. However, we've been noting over time that there has been gaps as we work with them, gaps in EGP implementation, gaps in supplier environmental management when implementing the projects. There have also been gaps in evaluation on matters of environment and construction, what goes on, health and safety and social safeguards as the suppliers and contractors are working.
And away from that, we now look at Eid al-Adha. Is just around the corner. But for Muslims in White Nile state, south of South Sudan, capital Khartoum, the tradition of animal sacrifice is very much out of reach. They are going through a civil war, driving up prices. Footage captured vendors and shopkeepers at a livestock market on Saturday, but with little to purchase.
كيف أخباركم؟
بالله البيع شيء مستمر مكعب لحد الآن ما بطل. بالنسبة للمواطن البيع شيء مستمر.
لا كفاية كده.
السنة اللي فاتت كان يعني أشد خروف ولا أفضل ما في البهايم، يعني 807.5 العام الماضي، لكن في هذه السنة يعني نلاحظ إنه 1200 1300 أكبر ما في الحيوانات، يعني حاجة السمحة. ده حاليا حاصل.
Well, that brings us to the end of our business stories this morning. Julie will be here with the agenda and, of course, with a very interesting guest regarding the 12th Parliament. Keep it with us.
Of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight Come and give it a try. Ginshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning. Eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Ginshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
I know what Uganda needs. When General Caleb Akantwanaho retired, Salim Saleh presented his long, detailed analysis of Uganda's economy and structured recommendations for improvement in the form of the Third National Development Plan, NDP-3, to President Museveni. He laid out the kinds of problems that many Ugandans feel every day, but rarely see captured in one place. He was doing what he has done